Now then, I want to cover fish. People think it's great to eat fish, but here's a series of articles that I have from various magazines and so on I've collected over the years. This is Consumers Reports, October 2014, the Great Fish Debate, where they had a hard time finding fish that was safe to eat. And, they have excellent research. Here's another article from Mother Jones, October 2012, about same thing, about fact that most fish you buy at the supermarket is not safe to eat. Here's an LA Times article, report causes health risks in farm-raised salmon, that this farm-raised salmon and this farm-raised fish, they're fed antibiotics and all kinds of things, and you're really putting your life at risk eating this farm-raised food. Here's another article, Consumers Reports, on shrimp. The article basically says that all this shrimp and so on comes from Vietnam or Indonesia or somewhere, and then shipped to the United States, and they're raised in polluted ponds, or China, and they had a hard time finding safe shrimp. We'll move on to milk here. Similar articles I found. Milk does your body good. Look at science. Here's an excellent article on milk. The first one. I don't remember where this came from West Hawaii Today yet. January 30th, 2015, and they keep closing down the dairies here on the Big Island where I live because of problems of bacteria. There was an article just a couple of weeks ago here we are. Here's an article here from on the spread of Agriculture Department imposes quarantine, also from West LA Times on one of the dairies here. And then I've visited dairies before many times. My father used to have an auto parts distributing company, and I used to make, when I was going to high school and college, one of my summer jobs was delivering parts to dairies out in Corona, California. That they since moved to Bakersfield in that area, but the dairies, but the filth and the smell and the stink, and it was unreal. I'd go visit these dairies. There's an article about that from the Animal Times. At any rate, here's also an interesting article from Jewish Journal about how kosher is your milk, saying that by a rabbi who comes out and clearly says there's no such thing as kosher milk, and it's impossible to make milk kosher, but yet the rabbinical boards, in order to make money, will put their stamp on milk. Okay, now let's go on to sugar, which is one of the most harmful things to the human body. Also, you should try and cut it down to a bare minimum. And here's when a sugar tried to fatal heart attacks woes soda. Yeah, soda pop is one of the worst things you can eat. That Coke is, like, my opinion, it used to have sugar in it. Now they have that high fructose corn syrup, which is like a poison to the body. So I have this picture here of a Coca-Cola bottle for that reason. You never want to have anything with high fructose corn syrup. It's a carcinogen. And here's an article from this Dr. Mercola, who has a website, Mercola, about high fructose corn syrup and everything. If you go to his website, an excellent article. All right, now then, let's go on to coffee. Starbucks coffee is one of the major reasons we Americans are getting kidney dialysis and having problems with their liver and kidney. Is the caffeine completely acts as a poison to your liver and your kidneys, and they will say otherwise. How great coffee is and all of this, but I'm telling you, it's the worst thing to put in your stomach in the morning. There's they took the product on the market. I just found it again at the Vermont Country Store catalog. Post them if you want to get off coffee. That's how I wean myself off of coffee. But here's a picture of a normal spider web, one with marijuana, one with caffeine, and one with benzodrine. And it affects the spider, will affect have a negative impact over the years, and you might end up with, if you have a regular coffee and alcohol, of being on kidney dialysis. I just lost a friend from that, of the family. And here's an article from Dr. McCullough again on his website about caffeine. It's mercola.com. There's another thing that gets into our food, and that is plastics. When so much of our food and so on comes from plastics, and when the plastic gets about 80 or 90 degrees of water and things are shipped into it, the chemicals from making the plastic will bleed into the content. So if you're shopping, you should get things from glass bottles, or make your own. A matter of fact, here is a campaign here on that very thing. Here's a series of articles that I found on chemicals in mattresses and so on that are getting into the environment and so on. These flame retardant things, and these they call PBDEs, and they have other names for them, that are getting into the environment and found in mother's milk and breastfeeding from these chemicals from the plastic industry. Now then, let's get on to water. Our body is 70% water, and water is very important. But most of the water we get today is got some sort of chemicals like chlorine and other things in it. Here's an article here about the LA Department of Water and Power, where they had to close down a bunch of their reservoirs because of contamination, and they had to put covers over them. The sunlight would hit the chemicals that were in the water and make them toxic. And the city of Los Angeles had to go around all the reservoirs and put covers on them to keep the sunlight out, so they could through the pipes into your home. Here's an article on water from it was analyzed in the city of an analyzation that was done in the city of Culver City on all the chemicals, chlorine, copper, iron, lead, magnesium, so on, all kinds of aluminum, all kinds of harmful chemicals found in their city water there. Most city water is not safe to drink. Here's an article here from naturalcures.com. Water everywhere, but is it fit to drink? And they had a hard time finding water, any city water. They tested some municipal waters in various cities and couldn't find water that was really safe to drink. What I recommend is there are three systems for getting first water. One of them is reverse osmosis. The problem with that, it doesn't get all the contaminants and it leaves a bitter taste. The second one is distilling the water. A lot of companies sell distillers. Well, that also leaves a very bitter taste and doesn't get all the contaminants out of the water. After a thorough investigation, the best system that I found is what's called an atmospheric water generator. There's a company in Florida who's importing these units. What this atmospheric water generator does is it takes the technology was developed in Israel, and but they found they couldn't patent it, so they sold it to a Chinese company and a Korean company. It's stainless steel coils like refrigerator. They freeze and unfreeze, and then the moisture from the water from that goes into a bottom tank, then into through 4 different filters into a top tank, and it gives you the purest water that you can find. There's a company in Florida who's importing them, and if you want the information, I'll be glad to forward it to you. But there's a couple of things I want to back up a little bit. Here's an article here on wasteland in water, where water runoff going into the Gulf of Mexico from all the farming and destroying the along the coast. Here's another article where nitrate pollution in the Central Valley, the farming is causing all kinds of problems with the groundwater. But at any rate, the three best systems the three systems that work, all the rest of them are a bunch of gimmicks, I found out, but are either reverse osmosis or distilling. And then there is best system I found is an atmospheric water generator.